I have a new drink that I enjoy.
That's Diet Dr. Pepper, available at your local grocer.
And everyone else in our family really enjoys it.
Yeah, everyone.
Including the Bambini. So last time we got a 12-pack of Diet Dr. Pepper. Within less than 24 hours, they were gone.
Yes.
And I was like, this is untenable. I cannot live this way.
Well, they're just packing it away. They're getting in their fridge and grabbing the cans and opening themselves and also spilling it on the fucking bed.
And on my laptop.
Yeah.
My laptop broke because Gooby spilled Dr. Pepper on my laptop and we found out hours later and it doesn't work anymore. But I had all my shit back up.
The hard drive in it, it's okay. So everything's preserved. We're in the process of fixing that. So this was a direct consequence of them busting in to the goddamn refrigerator as though it was fine, as though they were allowed to do that.
Yeah.
And just taking as much Dr. Pepper as they want.
So this was a no.
Yeah, we said, no, this is not a situation that can continue. I sprang into action and I said, you know what? We could get a mini fridge for our fucking bedroom. I thought about my brother who has a mini fridge. He loads that thing up with Mountain Dew. And I thought, well, I don't want Mountain Dew in there. But these kids are always eating our fucking fruit. They're always drinking our fucking drinks.
Fruit is a problem, too. You can get like $20 worth of fruit. It's gone in a day.
In a day. Fruit is not cheap.
The fuck it's not. So we invested in that. And
those are not expensive anymore. They used to be like a luxury.
Yeah. We got it. It came in yesterday. It's great. There's a Circle K right near our house.
Which is where we get Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, we get that beverage.
And so we were going to replenish the Dr. Pepper. It's at the worst intersection on the road that our road is off of. I'll explain. If you're attempting to go towards town, fine. It's not a big deal. If you want to go to the Circle K and then come back to our house, this is a completely different story.
So it's bullshit to get out of the Circle K if you're going back to our house because you can't left turn out onto the street. So you have to right turn out of the Circle K, then go down to this neighborhood with a large area in front of it that demarcates the neighborhood. And you have to use that to make a U-turn. And it's a very awkward process. It's not really a legal process either.
No, it's definitely not legal.
You have to do an illegal move. It's a lot more efficient that way. I had never seen anybody else do this, though. But we do it all the time.
Yeah,
every time
it's
we go back
basically
to
how we get out of there.
But this time, we were behind this giant semi-truck coming out of the Circle K.
He just dropped off the Dr. Pepper for us.
Yeah, he just dropped it off for us. And he's in front of us, and he turns right. And we, think, oh, okay, he's
going down.
Leaving.
He's going down that way. That's what he's doing.
And he makes the fucking illegal turn in the exact neighborhood spot, the convenient illegal spot to do it. And he turns around.
He catches our eyes. We lock eyes.
And we smile.
And we just go. And he just had the widest smile. And then he saw that we obviously did the exact same move behind him.
He watched us do that with glee, looking in the rearview mirror.
The only problem was neither of us had like a foam number 1 finger. That would have really enhanced it. But regardless, we were still on the spot, raised up to lifetime monarchs of truckerdom. So we can now give orders to them and expect them to be carried out. You need somebody killed or just hit with a truck. I'm sure they could do it gentle enough not to kill somebody. Yeah, but we can do that now. If anybody needs it, let us know. This all happened because our kids spilled Dr. Pepper on ACD's laptop and then drank the rest of it in a relatively short period of time. So tighten your buttholes. It's time for Pact. I'm the P, Peter Coffin. This is Miss Astronaut Cowboy Doctor, the ACD. Together we're packed. Don't miss an episode. Like, comment, subscribe, and leave us a glowing review on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. We're a 5-star podcast.
I'm going to call y'all in for a second. Okay? Let's bring it in. This is not a call out. This is a call in. Which by saying that, it makes it completely different.
Yeah.
I noticed that we have a fair amount of reviews. We have like 24, 25 reviews.
Yeah, on Spotify, we've got 24 reviews.
And I believe our star rating is 4.6 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. That's good. But what did I just say about how many stars of a podcast we are?
Not 3. Not 4. 5! I'm a 5-star man!
It's right there. I mean, for everybody who's listening rather than watching, we have Dennis saying I'm a 5-star man on our screen behind us. That was a good call in.
Hurry up. Let's get
But yeah, seriously, go to Spotify and please do the necessary work of bringing that up to a 5. We're probably going to complain about it until it's a 5.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 5 on Apple Podcasts. Why isn't it 5 on Spotify? Join our Discord. We hang out there all the time. We chat. We do some other fun stuff you can access by becoming a patron, like movie night. There is exclusive content. You can see early and sometimes stuff that nobody else sees. So help us keep the lights on by becoming a patron at patreon.com/pactpod. That's PACDPOD. We've also got some great Pact merch available as well. Finally, tell your friends. Not joking. We really do rely so big on word of mouth. There's books. Custom Reality U, which is a longer book. Cancel Culture, Mob Justice, or Society of Subscriptions, which is an essay book.
I also edited it.
Yes. We stream 7 p.m. Eastern every Sunday. Thank you so much for tuning in. I can't believe it's not butter.
Wow. I totally thought it was butter.
Unbelievable. This is not butter.
What? Not butter? Oh, no. Memories of butter.
I'm going to beat your ass if you try to tell me this isn't butter.
The reason we're saying this is because PragerU has developed their own I can't believe it's not butter variant version of Hasan Piker. They yassified PragerU.
Yeah. Yeah, they did. I can't believe it's not Piker.
So a knockoff of a knockoff.
Yeah. A Xerox of a Xerox is what you would say if you wanted to get sued by a massive corporation.
Yeah, which we don't.
We don't.
So PragerU has yassified themselves to tell us that communism kills people.
Yeah, because Hasan Piker apparently hasn't done it effectively enough. Got him.
Why are we talking about PragerU? Let's talk about that first, because this is such an easy bread to bullshit Twitch streamer thing to do.
Oh my God, did you hear what PragerU just said?
Yeah.
Well, it's not because we want to talk about PragerU.
No.
I have avoided talking about PragerU as much as I possibly can for years and years now. PragerU is a nonprofit which is funded by various right-wing billionaires. I don't know how anybody could not know what it is who has some idea what politics is in 2022. It's not like an astounding discovery or anything. Oh my God, I saw this thing on the internet. They're trying to brainwash everybody with right-wing propaganda. They're called, get this, PragerU. Like a university? PragerU? More like Prager shit.
Well, that's what BreadTube does all day, and they make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year doing that. And it's been done to fucking death. Why are we covering it though? Because of their marketing tactics right now.
Yeah, they really they realized how popular Hasan Piker is. Probably when they saw that he bought a $1.2 million house and a $200,000 car, which the left's response to Hasan Piker getting an expensive house and an expensive car was
some degrowth shit.
you shouldn't have things if you're a socialist, which is basically doing PragerU's work for them, telling them that socialism is a miserable thing where you have nothing.
Right.
Socialism is when you don't have nice things. Right? Leftists? Here's the trick, where PragerU actually would probably agree with most of the leftists on that. We, on the other hand...
people who actually subscribe to a Marxist viewpoint of communism are an optimistic, pro-human approach to the economy and human society, such that we want everybody to be able to enjoy wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And a communist society, in the way that we anticipate growth to be possible when the means of production are socialized, absent of the profit motive, we think that that's possible for everybody to obtain abundance.
So the problem that we have with Hasan Piker is not he's got a nice house and he's got a nice car. It's that he is preaching class collaboration.
Well,
because that's not a means for everybody else to have those things.
Right.
It's a means to continue to perpetuate the exploitation that is required for him to have those things without other people having those things.
Right. Hosting streams with AOC.
Ugh.
You got a nice house by fucking people over. That's the only way you can do it in capitalism.
And if you don't directly fuck somebody over, somebody else does it on your behalf.
Yes, exactly.
Anyway, so PragerU saw Hasan's house and car, and they were like, holy shit, these socialists know what they're doing. They're making a lot of money. They're popular. Even though, like, they don't know what a socialist is, and Hasan Piker is certainly not one.
Yeah, PragerU was like, that's great.
We need a Hasan Piker.
Yeah.
So they created a margarine Hasan Piker.
that has conservative aesthetics instead of radical liberal ones.
And oddly enough, he says the same things about communism.
His son doesn't say that directly.
Not directly, but he's preventing it from happening.
Sure. So that's why we're interested in talking about PragerU, because we think that tactic is interesting from a standpoint of how PragerU is picking up on the way that socialism as an identity has been commodified, and trying to cater to that with a little hot slam piece.
Yeah.
That looks like if Hasan Piker and Dave Franco fucked.
Yeah. You know what? That's a pretty goddamn good...
I'm really good at putting people together.
Making right-wingers and left-wingers fuck?
No, like, I'm good at fusions.
I'm joking.
But let's go through this line by line. It's so short.
Communists need to be as hated as Nazis, okay? That's a big point of mine that I've been working on in 2022. I'm working on hating communism as much as Nazism.
I'm working on... It's so funny. Chud dunking is so easy.
It really is.
I cannot believe how much money people make on this. It's so fucking easy. If you don't actually believe in communism, which, like, bread tubers obviously don't.
Clearly.
Why would you not spend all your time just doing shit like this? It's so easy. It's fun.
Wow, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because communism killed way more people than the Nazis did. And
we have a PragerU 5-minute video about that.
Yeah,
Why
we
isn't
do.
communism hated as much as
Right.
Nazism?
Right.
I mean, they pretty much tallied up the number of people killed by Nazis. Like, they have a rough idea. It's about 31 million.
Presumably he's talking about people who died or were killed directly by, which you obviously can't estimate, within the USSR, within Cuba, like, you know.
Yeah. Most of it's disputable as to exactly what you would count. A lot of the time people count famines, wars, or revolutions. Whereas for some reason, none of that matters with the Nazis, or especially the liberal capitalists.
Yeah, right. Communists did kill people. They were called Nazis.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you want to really tally up the communist kills, check out how many Nazis they killed as the Nazis attempted to invade the USSR, which resulted in the downfall of the Third Reich, the end of World War II.
And the guy that he's talking to, after he just throws out this blatant, undefinable falsehood, he says, we have a PragerU video about that. Why isn't communism hated as much as Nazism, right?
I'm sure that the video itself is filled with the exact same nonsense. Honestly, I'm not going to go into fucking PragerU's content.
Let's say, for the sake of argument, that the PragerU video says the exact same thing.
Hypothetically, let's just say, for the sake of argument.
That was pretty good.
Or the breadlets are just going to see this video and be like, what are we supposed to do? They don't like them either. But I've been claiming for like 2 years now that these guys are in an alliance with those people. One that is both red and brown.
Right. And communism has like this, it's propped up. You know, it's propped up as not nearly as bad. Like communism, when people think about communism.
Wow, this guy sounds like a fucking idiot.
Now, this is exactly the moment that if I were to take a poll, I don't think anyone, as long as, even if every citizen decided to, listen, I would be the first, I would be the second. I don't think in any line of people, look, society, before we even launch into that.
Is this what Hasan is like?
Probably.
I don't spend my time listening to Hasan, but if this is what he sounds like, if this is like we need to create competition for this.
Yeah.
Like, really?
Yeah.
When people think about communism, I hear people on the right talk about it. They think of it as like, oh, this is another economic system that is comparable to capitalism. Like you are opposing the two. This is why I said socialism before, that you are comparing socialism to capitalism because those are more economic. But socialism leads to communism, as Vladimir Lenin so eloquently put it.
What the fuck is he talking about?
He's talking about how eloquent that Lenin is. I mean, he's right.
He is.
I mean, that's the one thing he's right about here.
This is why I said socialism before, that you are comparing socialism to capitalism because those are more economic.
So anyway, you don't need to know anything about socialism or communism to rebuke this comment. You literally don't.
Well, yeah, because he's just making shit up. He's just saying it's not an economic system. It's just a death machine. How? I don't know. Communism is when people die a lot.
When they are killed by communists.
Yeah, communism is when people are killed by communists.
And he makes the distinction that socialism is an economic system, whereas communism isn't.
And then evokes Lenin saying that.
Yeah, and says that Lenin says that. Just for people watching, socialism is basically a lower stage of communism, in which class society has not been abolished, but the proletariat becomes the ruling class.
Right.
Communism is when class is abolished. I mean, it's not an end point, but it's where communists want to get.
So that's what he's referring to. Incorrectly. But in his mind, socialism is still comparable to capitalism economic system, and communism is the
when communists kill people.
Yeah, it's the death factory that results
from communists.
Yes.
That's it.
That's it.
But communism is a system that kills people. It literally murders people.
He sounds like AOC. It literally murders people.
They're literally going to murder me.
Will Witt is experiencing trauma just talking about communism, which is valid. But again, if he were a political official, that shouldn't affect his political decision making. We have a good episode on that called Trauma Politics.
To be fair, him and AOC probably actually agree about communism.
The rise of everyday people in the island of Cuba and Cubans, just everyday working class Cubans and Cubans all across the island, standing up for their rights and standing up for to protest the intolerable conditions that have been happening on the island. And one of the things that we want to make sure that we communicate is our solidarity with the Cuban people. They have requested international solidarity with their movement, and we stand in strong solidarity.
Okay, that is what communism does. You know, to say that we are just like in our talks on communism or on social media, when I hear people talk about it, they say like it's just another system of the economy. Like it's another way to run the economy. It's not just another way to run the economy. It's a way to destroy a nation. It's a way to kill people. It's a way to control people's lives so that you have the ability to make them do whatever you like. That is what communism is. It should be just as hated as Nazism. There's no reason. I mean, if not even more in some ways, with the amount of people that it's killed and the influence that it has had on people.
Yeah. So again, not explaining how communism is a thing that kills people. He just defines communism as a genocidal system wherein dictators tell you what to do.
If we're going to talk about communism being a way to kill people, let's talk about the way that China handled the pandemic.
2 deaths in China.
2 deaths in mainland China. 2. COVID deaths in mainland China in the year of 2021. That's excluding Taiwan and Hong Kong, because Hong Kong is a sort of a westernized zone.
Yeah, a capitalist place.
Yeah. And there's a lot of contention over what Taiwan exactly is.
So communism is just when bad things happen
By communists. Communists cause those bad
by
things.
communists causing them. Yeah.
It's really expository of how people think of systems, though, because it's all about the people in charge of the system, the individuals running it. Communism is when communists kill people. That's the logic here. And the reason for that is simply because, the people running it are communists. That's how these people think. And that's also how AOC thinks, and Vosh, and fucking the serfs. All of them think of systems in this way, it's about the people who occupy the places of power. That's the point.
And I don't even think that they would argue against that.
No, they wouldn't.
If we said, would this be an appropriate way of how you think systems operate? I think they would say yes.
Yeah, if communists are in charge, that's communism.
Anyway.
Which the communists are almost never in charge, by the way. The United States finds communists in charge and puts bullets in their heads and tells the people of that country that they're bringing them democracy. Further, they definitely don't stay consistent with that assertion when they're talking about China, where communists are in charge. Not that I would call China communism. I would call it a form of socialism, the lower stage, the attempt to get to communism. But yeah.
With the amount of people that it's killed and the influence that it has had on people, the Marxism that is going on throughout our world.
Marxism throughout our world.
There's so much Marxism going on throughout our world. Our world! Oh, no, go on.
There's so much understanding class as a relationship to means of production.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. The 5 settlers that explained land back are the ones out there that understand what Marxism is.
Maybe we're...
It's not true. It's an exaggeration. There's probably 6 or 7 other people.
Which, by the way, he doesn't define what Marxism is either.
No,
Marxism is just what postmodernism, when bad things happen.
Marxism is just a thing to this guy. It's not dialectical materialism. And if you said dialectical materialism, he'd be like, what is dialectical? Who says that?
Are you being Will or are you being Hasan?
Or am I being every single leftist claiming to be a socialist on Twitter?
Yeah, dialectical is too many syllables. And you're classist because class is a social identity for anticipating that somebody is able to use that word if they're a worker. And being a worker means holding a wrench and a little construction hat.
Walking in a line with the other ones holding their wrenches and their blue overalls.
Going to the construction store.
Yeah, sitting on some beams with a lunchbox. Eating their hoagie.
I mean, starting in the Frankfurt School and Marcuse, getting into Saul Alinsky's Rule for Radicals.
How many times has you, me, or some related person talked about problems with the Frankfurt School?
Yeah.
It's not a thing that we generally love being associated with, us non-revisionist Marxists. So much class collaboration came out of that area. No, Frankfurt School, that's what we all believe, right?
Congress for Cultural Freedom. Hell yeah.
Yeah, baby. Give us that money to not criticize the structures.
People from communism.
Yeah.
They're conflating Marxism with the left wing of capital because people in the left wing of capital say and think that they're communists.
Well, this is why I've made such a point to say we are not leftists. It's not that we're right wingers or anything. I don't agree with following the path set forward by any wing of capital. And when you say I'm left wing, I'm right wing, when you're saying you're a wing, you're saying you're part of something. A wing is a section of a building. It's not like the whole building. It's a part of a building. There's a west wing and an east wing in the White House. If you're on one of those wings, are you not in the White House? Yes, you are in the White House. If you're in the west wing of the Beast's castle where he kept the rose in a thing, is that not part of the castle? Doesn't matter if Belle could go there or not. It was part of the castle. So when you say you're left wing or right wing, you're saying I'm part of something. What is that thing?
The society, the economic base. As left as you go when capitalism you're still in capitalism.
Exactly.
You know, so I don't really care like how progressive somebody is.
No, I don't
if
give a
they're
shit
still
because you're
operating within the capitalist framework.
You can say that you care about something that is a traditionally progressive cause. But if you don't care about doing anything about capitalism, it doesn't fucking matter.
Right, because it's not going to work.
I don't care how many left points Biden has. I don't care how many.
Right.
It doesn't matter. It's typical vernacular. But we also have to pry out of that kind of thinking. Center right, center left, who cares? Because left is just more capitalism. Whereas when I say I'm a communist, I am a dialectical materialist, I am a historical materialist, I'm saying I really want to change the relations of production.
How those books and all of that has influenced people at the college level and to then go into other works and work in government and in corporations and HR departments. Communism and Marxism and postmodernism have infiltrated the masses. I mean,
let's talk about HR departments in Marxism for a moment. An HR department is part of a company, which would be, what would we call that? Capital. Everything that these types of people complain about in an HR department, like diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, the various types of non-conflict oriented resolutions towards employee problems, the class collaboration advocated more or less, hey, work with us, work with management, work with ownership. We'll get this handled for you. Just don't make a stink. Don't make problems for us, you know? We're not interested in the liabilities you might create for us here. Oh, by the way, we hired Robin DiAngelo to talk for $35,000. She's going to tell you that you're fragile. So, yeah, you're not getting a raise this year.
Yeah.
That ain't Marxism.
I mean, it's just conflating Marxism with the new left.
Yeah, with all of the fucking morons on Twitter who call themselves Marxists, unfortunately.
Right, precisely.
These people don't have definitions to words. They don't have
It's just
descriptions of the things they're talking
when
about.
bad things happen.
Yeah, they have to say communism is evil because their version of communism is people calling themselves communists being dipshits, which you can find plenty of on Twitter, but that's not fucking communism.
it is the most damaging system. But the left-wing media will come and tell you, oh, white supremacist Nazis, that's the biggest threat. It's like,
is he drunk? I'm going to work the steps with him, and this is going to be on his fourth step. Yeah, so he's... I don't even know what to say about that line. He's just saying the left-wing media, which again, the left-wing media of capital, left-wing of capital media is in support of Marxism, which of course is fucking ridiculous and completely uninformed.
I will say there is a kernel of truth here, though. The left-wing media is constantly talking about the fascists in the White House. Right. Even though they're not in the White House anymore. And
it's a very important issue that people have those beliefs. At the same time, they overstate the economic, social, and political power that Nazis and white supremacists have.
But the other thing is that the left-wing media often does call people fascists and Nazis that aren't fascists and Nazis.
Do you really know, any of you guys who are watching this right now, know any Nazis or know anyone who prescribes to Nazism?
Prescribes to Nazism? You mean subscribes?
Maybe some of you know some weird fringe guy in the backwoods of your town who does it. But for the most part, you can just walk in here in Los Angeles. You can walk 5 minutes down Hollywood Boulevard and find 10 people who say, oh, I'm a communist. It's all over the place. And it's heralded as like a good thing.
Yeah, and one thing, I mean, there might be a kernel of truth to that, too. There's probably a lot of people in LA who identify as communists.
Sure.
Who aren't and have no understanding of what communism actually is.
Yeah, I'm a communist. BLM is great.
Yeah, I'm a communist. I love AOC.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a huge commie. I voted Bernie in the primary.
Yeah, so it's saying, oh, wow, how fucked up is it that nobody is a Nazi because we all know that's bad, but everybody's identifying with communism, which also kills people for some reason. Just by definition, it's a government system that kills people. That's how he's defined communism.
Yeah, he defined
a government system where people are murdered.
By communists.
Whereas people they'll come and say, oh, there's all these Nazis, there's white supremacist Nazis. They do that so that you don't worry about other people being communists when there are communists all over this country. Okay?
He ends a lot of sentences with okay.
Okay? It's like the Red Scare all over again, to be honest. I mean, there are literally communists all over, and no one is coming out and saying these people are just as bad as Nazis.
He does not know what the Red Scare is. The Red Scare was
because
about...
the Red Scare was named what it was because it was directing mass hysteria and media attention towards irrational fear of communism.
Yes, it is the Red Scare. You are doing the Red Scare, Will Witt. If the Red Scare was what he says it would be, we probably would live in communism right now.
Right.
Because there would have been enough communists to do that.
If the ideas that the communists believe in are put forth in America to their totality, you will have totality of death and destruction in America, because that is what communism does.
By definition. He's almost making that argument. Communism, by definition, is a murderous genocidal government.
It's murdering. It's when the people in power do murdering. The thing here that's most important is that in not defining what communism is at any point, you can say something like this.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. Nazism very specifically has a group of people that it targets to kill.
Oh no, Clifton shipped.
It's Jewish people. The Nazis target the Jewish people. Whereas communists target economic inequalities and the relations of production.
All it knows how to do is destroy. All the left knows how to do is destroy. Saying that you want to control the price of food and gas on CNN is only a destructive principle.
I agree. I agree entirely. All the left does know how to do is destroy. Degrowth is a destructive ideology. These ideas, they're all about taking and making people have less. So yes, I agree. The left. But the thing is, leftists aren't communists.
No, even if they say they are. But Will Witt is not criticizing degrowth. He's saying that communism wanting to control everything and CNN is communist.
This is precisely why I care so much about distinguishing communism from leftism, because it gives this kind of person the license to say, well, these leftists want to do X thing and these communists are the same thing. And it's like, no, I actually don't want anything to do with the fucking degrowth dipshits.
Because it destroys people's incentives to make good products or to make products that actually work for people.
Here's the bullshit right-wing talking point of people not being incentivized to do anything without the profit motive, which is fucking ridiculous. If you know anything about Marx and labor and how labor, when not exploited, is the manifestation of actualizing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, when right-wingers use that, it kind of tells on themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, oh, I wouldn't do anything if I... And it's also not true. They would.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they're human.
Well, labor is a creative enterprise when it's not alienated. When it's not exploited, and you're actually performing labor because it's expressing your desires, wants, and needs.
It's an extension of yourself.
You're creating something. And a lot of people say, like, when I started a business, that's when my life really came together. I felt like I own what I do. You want to know why? Because they own the means of production.
Right.
And they're doing what they think is important. I don't hate people who own businesses. I hate the relationships of production. I would love to open up a Mandalorian style LED panel fucking studio.
Don't encourage.
That would cost tons of money. I don't have that money. But I would use that to make docs that are fucking amazing. And I'd make a shitload of fucking cash on the side, renting it out to film productions.
And Peter's really gotten into this idea that it's
not going to happen for me. This is what I would do, though. I would build this huge LED wall and I would make the best shit in the goddamn world. I can't do that. I don't have the money to do that. I'll never have the money to do that. That's frankly impossible.
It destroys people's incentives to make good products or to make products that actually work for people, because then it's controlled by someone else who is not the business owner. Okay?
Okay. He asks again. Fuck this guy.
Like, okay, nobody does anything because it's fun or cool in this guy's mind. when people do something that they would label fun or cool, that doesn't mean like it's not labor or anything. Like when somebody builds a model, that's labor. They're just doing it for themselves, though. It's neat. It's something they enjoy. It's something they care. They are putting something, they're putting themselves into something and they're proud of it. When you're proud of something, it's probably because you put work into it, right? In this guy's mind, that doesn't exist. You only do work. You only do labor because you're incentivized to. And therefore, anything that's to matter in this world has to be serving capital.
Like, how did anything happen to evolve to this point if people just never did anything?
I love thinking about like who came up with agriculture. There's no profit in just like finding out that seeds grow shit and cultivating the land to do
Well,
so.
I had to eat.
Yeah, it's to eat. But like somebody came up with processes that do something, that like fill a need and require work. And you know how farmers are often really proud of their farm? Like, oh, an honest day's work and blah, 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 blah. That's because it's a real thing. And before capitalism existed, before any of these like exploitative appropriation models existed, people did that stuff because it made them proud, because it was productive, because it contributed to the community, or it just made them feel good about themselves. Like, apparently you don't do that ever.
Right. Well, he just has no understanding of labor, of human essence, of anything.
Capitalism in the way that it is in America right now, it has its flaws. We have a lot of problems in America right now. All we do on this show, I mean, I'm a political commentator. I talk about problems in America every single day, all day. Okay.
I like that he's basically telling on himself, though, even though he's acting like he's proud of this, like I'm a political commentator. He's identifying as that. Like he's also said that you wouldn't do anything if they weren't paying you, meaning he wouldn't do this if they weren't paying him.
Right. So it's either disingenuous or he doesn't acknowledge his own human essence being valued in his labor. So either way.
I'm not saying this is all perfect and hunky-dory of what we have. Obviously not. But to say that we just need to try a different system like communism, to even have this be suggested on CNN, it's ludicrous. It's ludicrous.
Okay, the communism has never been seriously suggested on CNN.
No.
That is fucking ridiculous. Again, this is like Joe Biden as a communist type deal.
Another thing I really want to point out here is the idea of just, we have to try another system. No, that's actually not what a communist is advocating for. A communist is advocating for resolving contradictions and changing relations.
Right.
That's it.
Right. It's
Communism,
finding synthesis in the contradictions of our current economic base, which results in a new system.
yes.
But it is through dialectical change through which that process happens, not just a like, oh, we tried capitalism, we're gonna do communism now and see how it works.
This is why utopian socialism is such a damaging prospect. This is the reason why when you see somebody, quote unquote, yucking your yum about whatever thing, okay? When somebody's like, we need to have empathy at the center of our political agenda. We need to care about others in our system. When somebody like myself is like, hey, shut the fuck up. That's not what we're advocating for. We're advocating for fucking communism.
Yeah.
That's not just to shit on you. That's because what you end up doing when you go down that path is demonstrating this highly specific set of ideals and mechanics that you desire and need. And if it's not those things, it's not socialism. It's blank. And there's a million different versions of this ideology with a million different variants. There's anarcho-communism, anarcho-syndicalism. There's democratic socialism and social democracy. And there's all of these fucking stupid things that have very specific end games in mind. And you will never get there because the point is not to try a different system. The point is to change relations and resolve contradictions.
Based off of your historical conditions at any given point in time, which are constantly in flux and constantly connected to any point spatially in time.
And this is why when somebody says, well, what exactly will communism look like? I'm like, I don't know. There won't be class. That's when we'll call it communism.
Which inherently, by definition, kills people.
Yeah.
To socialize production and abolish the profit motive, that kills people.
Well, see, that's the funny thing about this. These people don't think about the fact that in capitalism, production has been socialized. They think of like socializing as nationalizing or as making it publicly owned.
Right.
But production in capitalism is socialized. That's actually what capitalism has done correctly. It's
Right.
socialized production. That's the accomplishment of capitalism. The contradiction of capitalism is that it is socialized production, and the product and profit, they retain the feudal mode of appropriation, meaning the product and profit go to the person who owns the means. Back in feudal times, you had your cobblers and their shitty shoes.
Bringing that in.
They had the tools, they had the materials, and they'd cobble together the worst goddamn shoes in the entire world because that's all they were capable of. Because they owned the materials and tools and did the labor, they retained the product, were able to appropriate it as they wish, and they retained the profit, which they could reinvest into more resources, better tools, or food to feed themselves with. That mode of appropriation has been retained in capitalism, which has succeeded in socializing production. There's the contradiction of capitalism. That's the contradiction that produces class. That's the material distinction. When somebody owns the means of production, they retain the product and profit while all of these people are selling their labor to that person. That person keeps the product and profit and does with it as they wish. That's the contradiction. That's what class is. That's what a Marxist talks about. That's what a dialectical historical materialist talks about. That's what communism is about. It's not about communists killing people.
Right.
So if you've ever seen the three arrows imagery, the three arrows pointing downward in a circle, if you've ever seen that imagery, it comes from a poster, which the Social Democratic Party propagated, I believe in Germany way back in the day. It was against monarchism. It was against Nazism. And that third arrow, what was it pointing at? Communism. Now, this is why, and I've said this a couple of times throughout the course of this podcast, I don't like leftism. I am a communist. I advocate for communist analysis, critique, and method. You will find people all over the left and right hate communism in the same way they hate Nazism and monarchism.
And a lot of times without thinking that they're doing it.
Oh, yeah.
Through their utopian socialism and self-identified anarchism, they are explicitly anti-communist, even if they think that they aren't.
They can sit there and say, I want communism. I want communism. Communism is when my very specific grievance is addressed. And if anyone attempts to address anything else first, that's not communism.
Right. And like you said before, it's the same shit that Will Witt is doing.
So when you see this kind of thing, you need to think of that three arrows image. You need to think of the left out to stop communism, because they would cross over with a lot of the things said by Will Witt here. When somebody says, I'm a communist, but not the USSR kind. The USSR, oh, fuck that place. You know what they're saying? They're saying communism is evil in the same way Nazism was. That's what they're relying on. They're relying on a historical context of propaganda that has been seeded in the United States and the rest of the West, where they hope that people think, we're not going to do the USSR. Instead, we're going to do this really great thing. There's no government. There's no like lords or masters.
Nah.
There's no parents. There's no bedtimes.
Yeah.
There's no school because, that's like a trauma
the first
factory.
Oppressor, yeah. Yeah, I'm a communist, but not the kind that will organize and pose a measurable threat to the capitalist system.
Exactly. That is anti-communism. If that stuff is present, even if the person is saying, I'm a communist, you need to regard that person as anti-communist. And if they're open to talking to you, you need to convince them that communism isn't the thing that they're looking to do. It's a process. It's a method. It is dialectical materialism. It's the attempt to resolve contradictions and change relationships. It's not an end game. And when you have this type of person blocking communism at every point, whether they're Will Witt on PragerU saying that communism is when communists kill people, or some anarchitty saying that the USSR is evil and it only exists to kill people. It's the same thing.
Just different aesthetics.
And it's ultimately saying, through those different aesthetics, we're going to work to preserve imperialism, because any threat to that must be destroyed. And clearly, not organizing and just talking about how much you want something isn't a threat to imperialism.
Right. Well, because they don't actually want to do anti-imperialism.
No, they don't.
Programming.
Because rather than saying communists are evil, they think that countries which are attempting to do communism because it doesn't match their exact idea of what communism is, those guys are the evil in the world. It's communists kill people, or the people who are calling themselves communists but aren't communists because I know what communism actually is, are trying to kill people.
Right.
Like it's really simple and stupid, or it's really complex and stupid.
And that, again, that complicitness in imperialism that is identified by self-identifying anarchist anti-imperialists,
Marxist state departmentists.
or Will Witt, in that complicity is allowing fascism, capitalism in its decaying form, where finance and monopoly capital or industrial capital continue to consolidate, intertwine, and wield power.
With this decay comes eventual crisis. Now, while you can spread out and annex new markets and financialize new places and generate profits, you eventually run out of those places. What happens then?
Well, that's what's happening now. It's just the consolidation of finance capital, redistributing and reorganizing the world while the international proletariat grows larger and larger with the increasing proletarianizing of the petit bourgeoisie.
Hasan Piker, and I can't believe it's not Hasan Piker, are both imperialist apologists, and therefore both eventually advocate for all of the mechanics necessary for fascism to take place.
Yeah, despite their different aesthetics, they are complicit in the same late stage of capitalist system, which is imperialism.
Oh, and also, holy shit, Will Witt is dumb.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
I mean, they really did go with the Hasan thing because they want a little himbo.
Yeah. The fact that people still fall for PragerU, wow. Dumb as shit. Dumb as shit. If anything, the whole reason to do this was to talk about how much more complex the propaganda from the left wing of capital is.
Yeah, because it all boils down to the same basis. It's just a bigger onion.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way of putting it. It's a bigger onion. You have to peel back more layers to get to the pro-imperialism, but you'll get there.
You will. Yes, you will.
And that's it for Packed. Thanks again for watching or listening. I'm Peter. This is Miss Astronaut Cowboy Doctor. To help us out, click like, follow, subscribe, join our Discord, leave us 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. To support us, become a patron at patreon.com/packpod. That's PACDPOD. Thanks so much. Come back next week.